What's up? I'm Austin Griffith. I'm here with some dudes with the Build Guild. We're gonna build some stuff with Scaffold ETH. We're gonna show off some Scaffold ETH builds. What's up, dudes? How's it going? Let's see. I think Block Dev, you want to kick us off first? Block Dev or Demu? I think we both have a couple. We have a couple Loogie projects or Loogie derivatives. They're Loogie forks, and I really want to show those off. Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
I want first if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Go for it. Demu, you're up.
Okay. Hi, guys. I will share my screen.
Looking like a loogie. It's a chubby loogie.
Yeah.
A lot of red.
So I think that everybody know the loogies now. This is the NFT created by Austin. The NFT is a character with a random color and a random chabbiness. You mean a loogie, and you get some nice loogie with a random color and some chabbiness.
And by the way, there's a blue loogie here. And when I wrote the original contract, I screwed up the blue channel. And so I shifted the bits, but it was type def to like bytes 8 instead of byte 16. So it ended up being no blue colors in any of the loogies. So this blue loogie you're seeing here is not like the ones on mainnet. We'll have to mix them up. But the repo, if you're forking it, has the blue loogie ready to go.
This is a rare loogie, a blue one.
Very rare loogie, yes.
So the loogie is rendering in SVG inside the smart contract with a public rendering method. So I created a loogie mashup NFT. We have a loogie, and now you can upgrade the loogie to a fancy loogie. You need to approve to be able to mint a new fancy loogie using this loogie as the source. You need to approve that the fancy loogie contract to transfer this loogie. So I confirm, and then you can upgrade the loogie to a fancy loogie. That is confirm. And if you go to the fancy loogies tab, we will see a new loogie in our fancy loogie that is just the same as the loogie that before.
But it's a blank canvas.
But now we can add stuff to our loogie. For example, here I made a bow NFT. You can mint a bow, and you get a bow with a random color. This is a green one, or a darkest green. And then you can transfer the bow to the fancy loogie. I think that this was the ID 2. So I transfer this bow to the fancy loogie with ID 2. I made the transfer. And if we go to the fancy loogie tab, now the loogie will get a bow. What a nice loogie. It's ready for the Bow Tie Friday.
Happy Bow Tie Friday, Blue Loogie. You did it. That is one fancy loogie. So it's like crafting, right? We have these NFTs that are, go ahead, go.
No.
Yeah, these NFTs that are each these pieces, and then what you did is you upgraded one so then it could receive these pieces. Can we look at the smart contract a little bit? Like, I think this is going to blend into Block Dev's presentation also, but there's a couple of aspects here. NFTs receiving NFTs and how that receiver works. And you talked about the public render function. I can't wait to just kind of show that off during Block Dev's talk too. But that public render is really a fun thing too.
Okay, maybe we can finish to show.
Oh, there's
all
more.
the stuff
There's
and
more.
then,
of course, we've got a mustache and a contact lens. Of course.
This Luigi need a new look, so he need a mustache. So let's get a mustache for our fancy Luigi. Mean a mustache. What color? What we get? Oh, a purple mustache. Let's add the mustache to the Luigi. Transfer, and our fancy Luigi gets the mustache. But
so good.
I think that our Luigi is a little short-sighted, so he needs a pair of contact lenses. So we can add some contact lenses to our fancy Luigi. We mean a contact lenses. We get a green contact lenses and send this to our fancy Luigi. And our fancy Luigi get the contact lenses.
Ooh, so do the eyes shift? Okay, so the mustache shifts. So does the mustache move based on like chubbiness or anything like that? Like as it gets chubbier, does the mustache shift out? Okay. So it's just like a static placement. Cool.
I put the mustache in a place that looks right in all chubbiness or something right.
That makes sense.
Here I have another with a more chubbiness.
That's awesome. So there's crafting, there's NFT pieces, and then there's the NFT canvas. Do you have the smart contract up? We can look at the same smart contract, I think, during Block Dev's talk. But if you happen to have it up, we could dive into just kind of like how this render and crafting works. And really, like Block Dev deserves a lot of credit on the render stuff. But let's look at it here while we're looking at it, because there's some really neat stuff here.
Are you looking? You are looking the code now?
Yeah. Let's just see it. Yeah.
This is the mint. So here I have these 3 NFT that you can add to the Luigi. Now it's hard-coded, these 3 NFT, but I am planning to make something like an admin can add new NFT that fancy Luigi can wear. Now is the tree contract for the NFT is hard-coded in the constructor. When you deploy the construct, you set the 3 NFT that the fancy Luigi can wear. And in the min item, you send a Luigi ID that is taken to the source for this fancy Luigi and transfer the Luigi from the sender to this address, the address contract. And then you have the on ERC721 receiver that check from the sender who is the contract that is sending the NFT, and add the ID from the NFT to the mapping, bow by ID or mustache by ID or lenses by ID.
So the standard is set up so this function gets called when someone calls safe transfer from. Is that right? So in our front end, we call safe transfer from, and safe transfer from in the standard for 721s goes and looks to see if this function exists in the contract, or actually if it returns like some magic data, right? Those bytes 4, it's some magic bytes 4. And if it returns the right stuff, then it actually calls this function when someone does that same transfer, and you get like a fallback function or a receive function. And we didn't have that before, right? We had the approve pattern. So it's really cool here that you can just like craft this up by sending things to it and just basically whitelisting the contract address that you want to display.
Yes. Exactly.
What does the render function look like too?
And the render function, yes, it's just a render for each of the NFT. If we have a Luigi, we render the Luigi. using the render token by ID method from the Lugis contract. And if you have a bow, use the method render token by ID from the bow contract, and the same from the mustache and the lens, and add it in the render, putting all the SVG together and returning the SVG.
And this was kind of a lot of the insight we had, Block Dev and the Loogie Tank group, in that when we have these multiple NFTs and we want to render them in one, the child needs to have a public render function, so the parent in its render can loop through the child's render and render the children during its own. And you can even imagine, like, if these loogies were getting fatter by the minute, you would see them inside, or you would see them in the other render getting bigger, or maybe that bow tie like spins, like you do like a modulus operator, right? And every block would go by. And I think that is a really good segue into block dev stuff. If you want to hand over the presentation, Demu, awesome stuff, man. That's really great. Like, NFT crafting is so sweet. Like, I can't wait to see this kind of collide with L2 and faster EVM chains too, where it's like we're grabbing stuff off the shelf like crazy and making things. So great work, Damu. You're up.
Thank you, Austin.
Let's mess around with some loogie tanks.
Thanks. Yeah, okay. Damu's made my job a lot easier by setting up all the context. So yeah, really great. Yeah. So I think
oh man, there they are.
Yeah, so like Damu was putting up stuff on Loogies, so here we'll be putting Loogies in another NFT. So again, it's working on Robston right now, but again, here you can mint any amount of Loogies you want. I've pre-minted some Loogies so that we don't waste time on waiting on actual transactions. And the final output looks like this, where it's a Loogie tank, which is an SVG NFT in itself. And when you mint it, it's an empty tank, but you can transfer the Loogies that you own into a Loogie tank, which is an NFT, and it works on based on the same principle, where the parent NFT or the tank NFT is calling the render token by ID function, and it's looping over all the Loogies that tank owns and rendering it inside the tank, and it's adding some custom SVG on top of each Loogie as well to show this animation. So I can make a transaction real time to show how it works. So let's send this Loogie to a new tank, which is the tank ID2, which is empty right now. And
MetaMask? Is it MetaMask?
Yeah, it's MetaMask.
Calling MetaMask?
Yeah. Wait, I see it's not being shared. Okay. So it's taking some time to load.
So the Loogie placement into the tank is really interesting. So I could have a tank and I could fill it up with Loogies and I could send it to Adam, and it's an NFT. Like, I could take a Loogie tank and I could put it on OpenSea and fractionalize it, right? A Loogie tank itself is just an NFT. Okay, you're going. But the movement and the placement are going to be fun to talk about the animation here. Go ahead.
So yeah, it just appeared here, and yeah. So the contract that renders the Loogies in the tank now. So when we transfer that Loogie to the tank, the same function on ERC721 receipt function is called, and at that time we set up a speed for each Loogie. So speed is basically 2 UNs in X and Y direction, and when we render the Loogie, it in the SVG code itself, it uses the animate tag to move this Loogie around using that speed. So
in that receive function we were talking about earlier, you kind of do a dice roll, or basically do a hash of a previous block hash plus the Loogie's ID plus your contract address. You get some random entropy and you place that Loogie randomly, and you also give him a random XY velocity, right? Or whatever that is. And then, given at that point, where it's going to be anytime in the future. And so if you had this website deployed and we could go visit it, the URL, the loogies would be moving around exactly the same in all of our tanks based on that previous block hash, and then how much time has been passed since then, right? So it's like public deterministic loogie movement in a nice little loogie jar here. And these loogie jars are all NFTs so I was going to talk about, if we dropped in a little food and these loogies were eating and they got a little fatter each time, you would actually see the loogie you could see the loogie on OpenSea get fatter, but even in the tank in real time, you'd see the loogie get fatter. So I can't wait to do breeding inside of these loogie tanks, and so many more fun things we can do with this. But I'm going to open up the floor now. There's kind of just some cool stuff to talk about here. So fire away if you have any questions.
Just one last
or
point.
more. Yeah.
So again, this tank is again an SVG NFT, so you can gift someone the tank by transferring it to address, or you can, as a side quest, you can eject all the loogies and transfer it back to the tank owner so that you can make the tank empty again. So there's some side quests, but that's it.
Yeah, I think there's and the cool thing there is that this obviously works really nicely for loogies, but that pattern of kind of having a bag of NFTs, so an NFT that holds other NFTs, could be more general. So you could basically almost get a bag, fill it with whatever NFTs, and then just try, rather than having to send them one by one to someone, you could be it could be like an NFT starter pack with a couple of different things, and that is it is kind of fun. You wouldn't necessarily be able to do the rendering because obviously you can only really do that with the on-chain SVG, but yeah, I think there's a load of composable stuff that could be interesting here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say too. But couldn't you actually also do the rendering if you had some other sort of on-chain SVG NFT in there as well? If it had the same render function, you could also. I mean, I don't know what other examples off the top of my head, but you could definitely also pop some other things in this tank, right? Which
this is a shout out for SVG NFT builders. If you're making an SVG NFT, you should have a public render function. And I don't know exactly what we called it, but it's basically the guts of your SVG, right? It's everything inside of the SVG tag, have that returned in a public function. And then we could, any of these other composable units can grab your render and render it during their render.
Is this creating a new standard? Is this a new ERC standard?
It's just loogies, man. Oh man, that's so cool. Great work, BlockDev, on this. I'm excited to see where this goes. There's a lot of fun, crafty, composable layers here. I did register loogiejar.com or something like that. So I definitely think we want to put loogies out on mainnet and let people do this with their mainnet loogies. I think we may have to breed them with a blue loogie first before they may have to blue their loogie before they can put it into the loogie tank, because they need to upgrade it because we didn't have that public render function. And the blue channel was just totally empty. So we could maybe mix in some blue with the ecosystem and then throw them into loogie tanks next. Yeah. Anything else you in particular want to work on with this? Were there things, certain insights along the way that you were oh wait, I can't wait to dive into that or this or that? Or I mean, the market around this would be really fun too, when you could sell them and have them, I don't even know, a little loogie race. People are betting on the little loogie get to the other side first. I guess it's all deterministic. You couldn't race, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think Damu had this idea where instead of moving the loogies in two directions, we can have some kind of race in X direction. But yeah, we need to think more about it on that. But yeah, I guess the standard that we're trying to make is really generalizable, and anyone can make anything on it. Put your own profile pictures in it as an SVG and display it on your loogies.
And it's the branch is on Scaffold ETH. So if you just Google Scaffold ETH, you'll find it, and we'll paste it into YouTube notes or something. But the branch is on Scaffold ETH, and it's not, you don't type loogies, you type Composable SVG or something like that, right? What's the branch called?
Composable SVG NFT.
Awesome. So look for Composable SVG NFT, and you can fork this and have this same whole tank running locally in a matter of a couple minutes. Awesome freaking job. I love these things. I get so excited when I see the little loogies swimming around in there. I think Adam was talking about maybe a little Merkleizer. Maybe we can take a tangent away from loogies just for a minute and talk about our old homie Ralph Merkle and his adventures.
Yeah, sure. Yes, this one's still pretty raw, but I'll share my screen and we'll see how it goes. Do the whole desktop. So just the whole thing. We're basically like Merkle drops, making it easy to do Merkle drops. Had this like big idea about like letting anyone do a Merkle drop, and then obviously found out that someone had done it. Like Astro Drop like exists, and it's like a really cool implementation. So for folks who aren't familiar, like I guess like the Uniswap Merkle distributor was like, I don't know if it was the OG, but in terms of like getting like everyone's attention, like the Merkle distributor, way in which that they distributed like Uniswap tokens, and also have this like really like lean implementation of being able to use essentially Merkle Tree to give out tokens to a large number of accounts without storing all that information on chain. So there's a bunch of cool stuff, and I guess I won't jump like down into the details, but like everything from like the way in which they keep track of like claimed tokens, and essentially like using like just a mapping of uints to other uints rather than like tracking every single address. Like there's loads of stuff which which makes this gas efficient, which is cool. And so like I enjoyed like learning about that through doing this, but then like layering on top of this is the fact that this is a pretty standard pattern. Like you could distribute any like ERC20 token or Ethereum or whatever, like in the same way. And so combining this with basically a like factory type pattern, which is pretty much what Astro Drop does. So it's basically token airdrops for 2.5 gas. So again, like that really efficient like implementation. But I thought I'd kind of gotten like halfway through it before I found this. So I was like, let's at least like implement it in Scaffold ETH, learn some stuff along the way. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, this is the guy. It's cool stuff. So then I'll get this set up here. So
we could do a quick, like really like 5-second TLDR Merkle roots. It's basically you build this great big tree offline, and you put the root of the tree in the smart contract. And then later on off chain, you can prove that a specific address exists in this tree by doing some proof off chain and submitting the proof to the smart contract. And the smart contract can say, yes, this proof is valid. That address does exist in this list, without me having to store this giant list all on chain. Is that a good speed run?
Yeah, that's yeah. So I'll just like we can, I guess, yeah, if we look at the contract, that's kind of what there is. Is claimed as tracking like what's claimed or not. It's again one of those things where Open Zeppelin have got like all this stuff off the shelf. So they've got like a Merkle proof thing that you can import. And so basically, if we look here for like the redeem, like you basically show up and say, okay, which like row am I claiming for? And you also like include the proof, like Austin says, and then essentially you like the verify function here. So if we jump back in here, basically says like, was this in the original Merkle tree? And if we go to the verify function, it basically uses this library which says, okay, given this proof and the Merkle root, which is like the hash of all things, and the leaf that you're trying to claim, like, is it valid? And so so it basically means that you can just use this root, which is like a single string, single hash or like bytes thing, rather than the whole thing. But like I say, the cool thing is that like between Open Zeppelin and like the Uniswap implementations, like this stuff is all pretty much off the shelf. So you don't actually need that many rows, like lines of code to get going. So this is the Merkler thing. So what I did was basically said, okay, like what if you wanted to be able to drop any like ETH or ERC20 to anyone? And then there's this Merkle Deployer, which basically like has two functions. Either you deploy an ETH Merkler or you deploy a token Merkler, where you say, okay, here's the root, here's the token address that I want to drop, here's the amount that I'm dropping, like who's dropping it, and then what that does is that basically like creates a contract. So it deploys like a Merkler contract, or actually what it does is it deploys like a simple proxy. So that's like a really gas efficient way. So again, that's a whole other thing. Which and then it basically like initializes that with the information that you need to actually do the Merkle drop. So often the easiest way, I guess. So if I'm running on a fork because I want to use some like mainnet stuff. So yarn fork. If I deploy, basically what I'm deploying when I deploy is I'm deploying like the Merkler contract, which is basically the reference version. And then the Merkle Deployer, which like will then sort of point at that contract. So all being well, that worked. It did. So now if we move this stuff and look at the app, maybe let's refresh. So we can then have a thing where we say, okay, given that, let's create a new Merkler. So I'll log out here first. So like, again, the UI could use some work right now, but like you specify whether you want it to be like ETH or ERC20. The deadline here is basically like when are you going to be able to like pull out the ETH that hasn't been claimed, like who's doing the dropping, and then this field here is basically the Merkle tree. So what it expects is like is a sort of CSV with 2 columns. So drop anything in here, and effectively, as long as it's in the right format, then you'll be able to then like essentially the app will like add these things up and like send that amount. This is the Merkle tree. It'll hash that and like upload that to IPFS. The IPFS hash and the root gets saved as part of the Merkler. So if we drop to here, deploy ETH Merkler, yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? Yeah, I made some changes there, but I think I know what happened. Maybe I'll do the same thing. So I know what. So that's why you don't make the changes just before the call. But if we go to here,
Merkler's just a good name for a thing. Like,
that,
did you grease up the Merkler?
that's the trouble, isn't it? So if we go back to here, grab these Merkles. I need to actually send myself some ETH because of the amount that I'm sending here.
Ah, nice. So the format there is address and amount, just like multisender.app or some of the other apps we've seen.
Yeah, so then if we'll see if that then.
If it's comma separated, does it parse it too? These little nice things are things we're finding in Moonshot all the time too, like packages of lists and
Yes.
like, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yes, that's actually one where I found quite a useful library for that. This thing like React parse, which basically like does a bunch of the parsing, like parsing for you and kind of returns. So it's on this change, like it gives you this read string function and it'll try and find the right, like try and find delimiters and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty smooth. Anyway, so now if we go to Merklers, you can see that this one was deployed. If you look at my 8.799, you can see that there's a bunch of stuff here. So like I omitted a bunch of events, so you have to do less like going on chain. But effectively this contract, you can see this is the Merkle root, this is the tree file. So this is like stored in IPFS. So you can see this is the like Merkleized like tree file. So then if you were to claim this first one, so you can see I've got 8.7 there. If I click claim, all being well, in a sec, yeah, you can see I got my ETH out there. And now if I was to try and do that again, it would say already claimed. And that's consciously, again, could do the token version as well, which is then like using GR, like any ERC20 token. But that's about it. That's the Merkler, and it kind of needs to be tidied up a bit. But I think it's kind of there are a bunch of different facets to it, from the like proxy contract to the like gas efficient like is claimed like implementation to like this like this CSV parsing like front end stuff. So I think it's just quite a nice like a few fun good like full stack tools and hooks to show everyone. And that's
Fire up the Merkler.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic build. Good work, Adam. Good work. And if someone wants to find that, could you chuck a link? What do they Google scaffold ETH and search Merkle in the branches maybe?
Yeah, well, so I'll push the latest branch. I'll make it legible to people outside my own brain. But then once I'll update the README and stuff as well.
Awesome. I have a quick little one to show off. Let me share my screen. First of all, any questions on the Merkler or anything we've seen here? Anybody want to throw anything in there?
I'm about to do an NFT Merkler, so maybe we can add that to your branch when I'm done. It's not just a claim where you claim once and mark as claimed. It's like a Merkle whitelist for a drop where you can kind of keep going back to the well. So make people to add that to the branch.
Interesting, like civil resistance there too. Like they could go back to the well once or twice per identity or something.
Yeah, I think like unlimited for this one, but yeah, just generally like how would you whitelist? The use case here was like people wanted to do a drop for NFTs but the qualifying parameter was on a different chain, like the token that they wanted to use was, so instead they're just going to collect all the addresses and then use a Merkle on mainnet so that they can claim them.
Are you using, like, is that a claiming or is it to mint as well? Is it minting the NFTs? Because I was kind of thinking about that, like, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, so you put it in your proof and then you get to mint your NFT.
Nice.
All right, this one, it comes to us from developer Marwan. He's not able to be here today, but he built this. It's like this thing that I've been wanting for a long time, and it's just a quick prototype of it. The UI is strikingly similar to Adam's UI, where we don't have like div width links or anything. But
there's a tiny margin on yours though, so
yeah, there's a little bit of purpose here. It's not complete anarchy. Yeah. All right, so this one is from Marwan, and what it is that contract component is really fun in Scaffold ETH when you can have that contract component dynamically fill in stuff in. So we've always had this idea of like we should just have like kind of like a little thing, kind of like we're in Etherscan where you can get in and interface with a contract, but like generic for any contract. So this is on Ropsten. And I'm going to go, I think BlockDev put those loogies out on Ropsten. So I'm going to try to run them down. I have the ABI here. So the contract isn't verified, but I have the ABI because I pulled it down from the code. I have no idea if this is going to work, but I think if I paste in the ABI here, and then I paste in the address of this contract. Yeah. Great work, Marwan. Yeah, there we go. So it parsed that. There we go. So we could check the chubbiness of number 4 is 75. There we go.
This is so useful.
About 69, 0. So why is it 0? It shouldn't be 0 chubbiness. I don't know about that one. Oh, because this is on Ropsten and you've only minted like 1 or 2, right? Yeah, you haven't minted that many. Okay, so let's mint one on Ropsten using this thing that Marwan put together. I've connected let me just show that. So I've connected oh man, we need that in local storage. Yeah. So this is a forkable thing too. If you search for what is the branch, ABI uploader. So ABI uploader in the Scaffold ETH repo, you'll find this. And I think Marwan's going to work on it some more, but always fun to take this in a couple different directions, and I'll dive into that in a second. Let's see. Wait, now I don't have it. Oh no. What happened? What did I do? What did I do wrong? Did I copy it wrong from here? So maybe I just need to like reload or something. Okay. Let's make sure I have MetaMask all connected and ready. Oh, maybe it just wasn't on Ropsten. I don't know. Okay, what I want to do though is use this to mint an item on Ropsten and see a loogie show up, right? I should be able to do that. And then let's see, how would I know what loogie? Let's see, I would get token balance of token by index, token of owner by index, right? So it would be me and it would be my first one, or is it index 0? It's probably 0 indexed, huh?
No, it's 1 indexed.
It's 1 indexed, okay. We're just waiting for that Ropsten, because Ropsten's proof of work, right? It's like a slow, Ropsten was a good network to choose for that animation testing too, because it's going to be kind of sporadic, and like Kovan or Rinkeby are exactly 5 and 15. So it's like, you get a much more mainnet feel when you use a proof of work testnet, but they're open to attack pretty easily, I think, right? Like you could fork small amounts. Oh, did it go through? Do we go? Okay, let's check this. I'm not getting any love here. I don't know. Oh, no, it is 0 indexed. Check it out. Just this function is 0 indexed for some reason. So token ID 5, there is the actual loogie. It's painted in SVG. Ooh, what did I do here? And then I hit back. I should not have done that. Oh man, it let me come back here. Oh, we've even got some events down here at the bottom. Way to go, Marwan. Okay, what I want to do is I want to safe transfer from, what if I send one of my loogies to your tank? What's going to happen? Let's see. Let's go from me to, let's see, you would have to send me, we need the address of the loogie tank contract, right? and then the
It will
Loogie token ID. Sorry, go ahead.
It will fail.
It will fail. Okay, so
Yeah.
so basically, what I need to do is I would need to go get the Loogie tank and set this up. But so I'm not able to go any farther than this because I would need to set up the same interface with the Loogie tank and call some things. But the cool thing here is that you can fire this thing up, and hopefully we should build a public service that does this, right? But you can get in here and you can paste any ABI in any address, and it will give you this contract interface. So a couple of different ways to take this, and I think I'd kind of pass this on to Marwan too. But if anybody's interested, the URL params would be awesome here, right? Like if I could go to the website and then slash this address slash, and not just the full ABI, but the ABI of just like balance of and transfer, right? And so then I would have just the interface I need, and you could share then this contract interface with folks by sharing a URL. So that's one direction. Another direction is like setting up a backend for this and doing things like letting you just type in DAI or GTC and it just like pre-populates it with an ABI and quickly kind of figures it out. And then I think Marwan is working on events, getting this thing so it sees the contract, it gives you a tab for each event, and then like you click on that event and it gives you all the events, or click on that tab and it gives you all the events, or something like that. So yeah, check out that branch. That is the ABI uploader. I don't know why it's called ABI. Marwan, why is it called ABI uploader? I guess because you upload your ABI to it. Yeah, I think when we were originally talking, we were dragging and dropping the ABI in. But there it is. Thank you all folks for hanging out and building stuff and showing off Loogies and other builds. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Happy Bow Tie Friday. Have a good one. All right, I'm gonna hit stop recording.